Do you like my art? I'm pretty sure Proust would love my art in the background. Hello, welcome to Sound and Fury Book Reviews Proust Edition. This is Book 2, Part 2, about page 125 to 240 in my version. So in this section, not a lot kind of goes down. Marcel goes on a lot of mind meanders, as is common with him. He talks about how society is set in its ways and people refuse to admit that changes are happening around them. Obviously something we can apply today as well. He talks about jealousy and betrayal and how it can last for years even after love is gone, how you can still feel possessive over someone you don't even care about anymore, but how old hurts can still sting. He talks a lot about art, as usual, primarily viewing art from a distance. How what's called posterity is the posterity of the work itself, how art is meaningful if it can be appreciated by those at the time it was created and by those in the future. I guess he's trying to say that art has to have a permeance to it. Its themes and its style has to make sense to people 500 years from now as opposed to just at the time. So I guess that's kind of why people sometimes say that like pop culture isn't really art, because a lot of it depends on context or on everyone remembering the same kind of thing. Like, I could make a joke about Jurassic Park, something like Clever Girl, right? And people now would get it and everyone would laugh, but in 400 years, would people still laugh at that? I don't know. I consider Jurassic Park to be the high point of art, but I'm just using that as an example of something that he would probably contest. I'm not saying I agree with that. I just think that it's kind of an interesting argument that he brings up about the ability of art to transcend time and generations and things like that. What else happens? He goes to the zoo and he meets a princess, so that's fun. I do that all the time. I'm always meeting princesses at the zoo. A major part of this section is when he meets Bergot. I'm not sure if I'm saying that right because I'm terrible at French. Another writer that he looks up to. He's thrown off by how Bergot is a rather plebeian kind of person. He's rather brash and also physically unattractive, and how this demeanor is, different from his writing. So he talks about genius for a while too. He has some meditations on love, specifically how to balance wanting to see someone you love but not appear desperate. I'm sure we all have try to figure that out in our lives. Maybe not. Some moments of interest from this section. So Marcel talks about how it was his friend Bloch in the future. He mentions this all of a sudden. He jumps to the future for a little bit. He talks about going to a brothel, which he calls a House of Assignation, which I think is hilarious. He goes there so much, he ends up donating a couch to the place. But then he can't go back because when he sees the couch, it weirds him out because he thinks of his grandparents and his family, and these sex workers are having sex on it, and then he associates that it throws him completely off. I was dying when I read this. He said, had I outraged the dead, I would not have suffered such remorse. I told my husband about this. He didn't find it very funny. Hopefully if you like Proust, you'll find it funny. Maybe I just find it funny. Anyway, I also love when Proust is snide. He says, something that would endure forever, like oil lamps and horse-drawn omnibuses. I mean, he was writing this when the car was clearly invented and the airplane, so he's clearly making a bit of a joke here. I like when he's kind of saucy like that. I really liked how Proust plays with our perceptions of the characters he creates, how our readers, our idea of them change by how the characters talk of them. Almost as if we're there, forming the same opinions as Marcel's parents, who were swayed to Bergot's side over de Nompois simply because of the comments that, other people make about one or the other. I did laugh when I think Marcel's mom says that Nompois was as dull as a wet Sunday, which is an amazing insult. I also enjoyed when Marcel said, failure to understand a joke has never yet made anyone find it less amusing. As you can tell, I have a very dumb sense of humor sometimes. I get it. I laugh at my own jokes, so I totally understood that comment. So there's some nice quotes I'm going to read to you. She was thus undergoing the attraction, unconsciously and at a distance, as the sea is swayed by the moon, though without being drawn perceptibly closer to it. I thought that was cool. Another quote is, a powerful idea communicates some of its power to the man who contradicts it. First of all, Marcel, geez. I know when it was written, I'm just making a joke because I make stupid jokes, just like Marcel, I guess. I guess this sentence kind of talks about why so many people like playing devil's advocate, specifically on the internet. You can play off of someone else's comment and just fight it, and that is apparently a way to bolster your own self-esteem. So I mean, I've done it before, but, you know, people on the internet just need to calm down with playing devil's advocate. He also says, it is thus impelled by a state of mind which is destined not to last, that which we make are irrevocable decisions. It's talking about young love there. You know, you make stupid decisions when you're young and in love. One more. Her face, grown almost ugly, reminded me then of those dreary beaches where the sea, ebbing far out, wearies one with its faint shimmering, everywhere the same, encircled by an immutable low horizon. I completely disagree. These are my favorite kinds of beaches. I love a dismal sea. The book, The Sea by Iris Murdoch. Has anyone read that? Because that book basically encapsulates my love of the sea. The main character in that book is abhorrent, and the plot wouldn't make any sense today. But I highly recommend The Sea if you like long, meandering novels about weirdos and the ocean. My kind of book. There's also a painting. I'm just going to post a picture of it in this spot here that's flailing around. It was from page 97 of my Paintings in Proust book. So while the scene itself that they talk about isn't entirely memorable, it's talking about running into some woman on the street. This is a rather striking painting. I have a thing for paintings of severe or lofty women. I have this plate. I'll show a picture of it as well. I have this plate that I bought at an antique store, and it just has this, like, you can see this woman just standing there glaring, and that's kind of my aesthetic. And yeah, so that's it for Proust this week. Hopefully you got something out of that. I got a lot out of reading it. It kind of looks like there's a whiteout behind me, but it's not a whiteout. It is. There. It is snowing. Lovely. And there's my little lady at the lake.